So, AJ Allmendinger, how did that sound, reliving the last lap of the Roval?
I mean, those laps felt like a blur. I was just trying to focus on not making a mistake. I knew William. I mean, he might be one of the best we got, or not might be. He may be the best one in the sport right now, but and we know how fast that 24 car is, so it was just about trying to not make any mistakes those last 8 to 10 laps. I made a couple of small ones, but I would really say the last 5 to 6 laps, that was about as perfect as I could be.
Your success here in the Xfinity Series, when you come and race anything here, Cup obviously today, just talk about, has this been circled on your calendar? Is this one that you're like, I really want this one?
Yeah, I mean, especially the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've had some struggles. We've had speed at times and get wrecked and things of that nature, and then we've just had weekends where we struggle. So, my crew chief Squid and I, and the engineers and all the men and women at Kaulig Racing, but specifically myself and Squid, we about 4 weeks ago was like, okay, this is the race, and we started putting all the effort into this race, and we would, like, getting ready for Texas, we'd run a couple of laps at Texas on sim and go right to the Roval. So we've worked on the setup for 3 to 4 weeks, and the Celsius Chevy had a lot of speed yesterday. I was mad after qualifying because I so screwed up my second round of qualifying. I thought we could have got pole. But yeah, I just love this racetrack. I loved it the first time I tested. Obviously, we've had a lot of Xfinity success, as you said. I really thought last year's Cup car was probably even more dominant than this year's, but it's so hard to win these races. It's so hard to have everything kind of fall in your way. So, this is what dreams are made of.
The last time you won, it was Indianapolis on the road course there. Does it ever creep into your mind that, is there another one out there for me?
Of course. I mean, every day. And, at Kaulig Racing, especially on the Cup side of it, I mean, it's tough. We're in our second year. I mean, you see the teams and drivers that aren't winning races. I mean, and there's some of the drivers that are fighting for playoff spots, going to the next round and things like that, or maybe just one win. I mean, it's not easy. There's only really a handful of drivers in the Cup Series that you could, quote unquote, dominate the year and win a race. So, any opportunity that you get, you have to go after it, and you have to do everything possible to make it happen. And, there's definitely times, I mean, every weekend you think, okay, maybe Indy was the last one. But it's weekends like this and days like this where all that, I guess, just mental abuse that I put on myself, all that anguish, all that sadness at times, it's moments like that just erase it all.
Talk about that final restart that you had with Kyle Busch, and you talked about how good William is and just what you needed to do and how you needed to execute to make sure that you were the one that came out on top.
Yeah, it's the restart zone was unique. I'll say that. The first one there leading, Ty did a great job and beat me into turn one, and I thought, okay. And fortunately, I was able to kind of get a nose back under him and get the lead back. But it taught me something on the restart. I thought, okay, that's a good lesson learned. The thing is even if you're trying to be as clean as possible, you're going to bounce off each other. It's so narrow through there. Everybody's throttling up. And so I was trying to change the restarts every now and then. With Kyle, to be quite honest, I was trying to keep him in second because I knew I'd raced around Kyle all day, and I knew, okay, on the long run, that I definitely have him beat. And, of course, I didn't want to have him lead me into turn one, but I thought, okay, if he can somehow slide second, that's all the gap I need. Even if it's 2 laps and they get around him, then I'm going to have enough gap. And when I saw William slide by him, I was like, oh, here we go. Because I know how fast that car is going to be. And so, yeah, there was some gamesmanship on trying to get Kyle in second.
It looked like, at least to me on that restart, that Kyle was trying not to hit you, but move you up the track a little bit. And however, you got the jump, and by the time you got to 1, it looked like you were gone.
Yeah, it just, so the inside car there, especially on the front row, and it's not like I'm trying to pinch Kyle into the curb or anything, but especially as the tires get new tires, that's where Ty got me, was new tires. He launched good enough, and I didn't get to third gear quick enough, so he was able to stay side by side with me and beat me into turn 1. But, as the tires get older, that inside car just gets pinched, and you're bouncing off each other, and the inside car is definitely spinning the tires. So we kind of bounced off each other. He spun the tires really bad, and that allowed me to kind of get into turn one easy. Now, at that point, I'm watching the reverse camera. I'm like, okay, Kyle, get to second. I saw William hanging. All of a sudden, it's like I put my head down, looked forward, and came out of turn 4 and saw the 24 behind me. I was like, oh, it's going to be a tough 9 laps.
So I was in a pretty lucky position here after the race was over because I was in our studio here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I was able to watch the emotion that you had in the car on television, the interview that you gave on television, and then hear the interview that you gave on our air on Performance Racing Network. And I have to tell you, the entire time I had a huge smile on my face because I feel like it was such a breath of fresh air from what we normally see. I feel like sometimes we see guys get out of the car after they win, and it's just kind of like, oh, I won, yay. But you had so much emotion, and there was so much behind that. You talked about it a little bit already about not knowing if it was going to happen again. But how much of that is like where your life is right now with your wife and your son, and in a situation with Kaulig that you're proud to be in, and with people that support you?
Yeah, I mean, especially Tara and Arrow is now just 1 month. My Tara and I's anniversary was yesterday, and that was Arrow's 1 month of being born. But Tara especially, she sees the pain and anguish I go through. And don't get me people listening to this, don't get me wrong. I have the best life in the world, but it's what I say. What makes me have the best life in the world is what makes me miserable every day, and that's wake up and be better. And Matt and Chris. And all the men and women at Kaulig Racing, but Matt and Chris, because they're yes, at the end of the day, they're my bosses, but they're my best friends as well. They see the suffering I put myself through sometimes, and that's not for sympathy or anything like that. That's me, just how much I care. And when we're not doing well, I put that on my shoulders that I'm letting us all down. And yeah, those doubts always creep in. Sometimes I used to always laugh when people are like, "Oh yeah, he's cocky." I'm like, "Oh, that's an act." Like, no sponsors want their driver being sad and no belief in themselves. I'm like, but I doubt myself every day, and it's good and bad. It's what pushes me to wake up and be better every day. It's also what makes me go through some tough times when it's not going well. So that's the emotion you see once it crosses the line of all that coming out, because I live that on a daily basis, and that's what I fight.
AJ, in your career, you've been through the fire, and you've come out on the other side, and it seems like it's made you stronger. What do they say? Steel sharpens steel. You're pretty sharp right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the Cup Series is so tough, but what Matt and Chris, and I've told them this personally, and I've spoke about it in interviews and stuff, but what Matt and Chris have done over the last, let's see, 5 years now that we've been together, 4 or 5 years, they've allowed me to, I guess, be happy now in my career. If I would have, at the end of 2018, if that would have been it, I had a good career. I've raced for a long time. I won a Cup race, won Rolex, won some IndyCar races, but there was always that doubt of like, man, I didn't do enough. They've given me the opportunity to, what I say, have saved my happiness, at least on a daily basis. So it's pretty special.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us. Hope you had a good time up Champagne Toast in the Speedway Club. Congratulations being the reigning champion of the ROVAL.
Well, hell, if I knew it was, you get all this stuff for winning a Cup race at Charlotte, I would have done this a long time ago. This is fantastic.
He's sporting a nice blue custom-made sport coat. You get a watch and some other goodies, don't you?
Oh, they give me. I've gotten a lot of things. Now, the only problem is, like, the good thing is the coat's not going to fit Matt. So I'm going to have to try to steal the rest of the stuff back from him.
Yeah, they took the trophy and got out of here.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. Happy for you.
Thank you,
AJ Allmendinger, the winner of the Bank of America ROVAL 400.